I open this door sometimes when I've not been here for a while. When I open it up, full leaves swirl in here.
I am here in one of the creepiest places. Well, it's a cemetery, so there's a lot of dead people. It's an old cemetery, and it has the most unusual crypt you have ever seen. And it might be the craziest crypt in all of the United States of America, and it's right here in St. Louis, Missouri. Or you could say Lemay, Missouri, because we're technically in Lemay. And we're here to check out the tomb of a guy that some say was very disliked when he was alive. He was kind of the guy like in the movie where they play baseball in the yard and the ball goes over the fence and they're afraid to go get their ball. That's this guy, because when he died, they found footballs, soccer balls, basketballs, tons of baseballs that he took when they went over into his yard. He owned a big piece of property in St. Louis now called Carondelet Park. And as you can see, this is a very, very old cemetery. And there's a couple crypts in here. And you can see there's another one right over there. Don't know who's in it, but you can see it right over there. Anyway, his name was Joseph Marmonot. He was born in May 8th, 1960. He died December 27th, 1924. And he owned this park called Carondelet Park. It wasn't called Carondelet Park. It was an area that the city wanted for a park, and he sold it. And he wanted the money to go into an account in perpetuity. And as you can see, look at these graves. These people were buried a long, long time ago. This cemetery is full of really old crypts. But he wanted to be turned into a mummy. And he wanted his body to be on display for all to see, because he was not very well liked in life. But in death, he wanted people to come see him. And he was like a farmer. And in 2002, his body was restored. And there it is. And we have the curator, his relative, here to kind of explain a few things. And there it is, Joseph Marmonot. I think I pronounced that correctly. And here it is right here. It's one of the old crypts. But I want to mention that we're going to go in and we're going to see maybe the creepiest thing we've ever seen right here in St. Louis. A mummy. Who would want their body displayed? And today's his birthday. It's May the 8th, 2023. He turned 163 years old today. So now, I want to mention, do you see this window and how it's boarded up? This used to be a clear window, so people could look inside and see his mummy. Okay? Now look at that, it even says M right there. And see this one right here? Again, boarded up. It's because people would come here, they learn about this place, and vandals would come. And then what happened was a few years ago, somebody ran into this crypt and they had to repair it. But one of the things they did was they replaced this door. This is not the original door, okay? They replaced it because the cemetery asked that they do that. Because look at these tombs, these crypts. A lot of them are broken because of vandals and because they're really super old. Look at that one. That was put there in 1927. So they don't want a bunch of like hoodlum kids coming in here, touching all the stuff and breaking it. As you can see right here, this one's broken. And as I was walking around through this cemetery, there is a lot of broken crypts. And then right over there, hey Tim. Yeah. Hey, so we're gonna ask Tim here, and he's gonna show us in the crypt, the creepiest place, probably the creepiest grave in the United States, wouldn't you say?
It's a creepy cemetery, that's for
Now,
sure.
what is your name?
Tim Slee.
Okay, so how are you related to?
I am his great nephew.
And so how did it come to be that you're his caretaker?
It goes the oldest son's firstborn son. That's how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
But there was 2 girls in there, and my great grandpa married one of the girls, and since she was the older, their son, and then hit my grandpa and my dad, then to me. Boom, boom, boom.
And how do you pronounce his name?
Morganot.
Morganot. Okay, almost sounds like a transformer.
Yeah. Instead of it's a French thing because it's like looks like a C, but it's really like.
And was he wealthy at the time?
He sold what is now known as Carondelet Park to the city.
Yeah, and
He
then
took all that money and put it in perpetual care for himself.
so somebody's paying for him to be perpetually
Yes,
kept
he's got
up
his own
as a
bank
mummy.
account.
He has a bank account.
Yeah, and it just moved goes. My dad's on it now. I'm on it, so it's like just goes that. So if he needs anything, I just take care of it and send a bill. It's right now it's U.S. Bank. It's been.
Has it collected a lot of interest?
I don't know because my dad lost track and has no idea how much money's in there.
Okay, so he died. Do you know what he died from?
I have no idea.
No idea?
No idea.
Is it true that he was not very well liked?
Oh, he was evil.
He was
mean.
evil?
He was mean. When he died, they found a large basket of all the kids' balls in the neighborhood. So it went in his yard. He kept it. Gave him back.
And what did he do for a living?
My dad said he was a carpetbagger.
Carpetbagger.
Whatever a carpetbagger is, I don't know.
You know, I know somebody with a YouTube page called Carpetbagger.
Okay, I don't know what a carpetbagger. But once his dad was a gardener. I think he worked with like Shaw's Garden, all these big time gardens. I think he worked at the World's Fair too.
World's Fair?
Because that was that time when he, and so he, when they sold, they owned all that was a farm, and then they sold it to the city to make Carondelet Park. Well, the city,
Well, why is it that he wanted to be mummified?
the story goes, it passed down to me, and you know how stories get embellished, but it's like he didn't want nobody to look at him when he was alive, so he wanted the world to look at him when he was dead.
I see. Wow. So how was the process of mummifying him?
It's at I forget this. It was Southern Funeral Home. I think they're out of business now. But he had it all wrote up how he wanted to do it. And then it's like they removed his organs. I don't know where they're at. They're in a jar somewhere, maybe somebody's shelf somewhere. And then they stuffed him full of straw and sawdust and stuff like that. So when you go in and because you can touch him and feel him and he's there, he really smells like a sawmill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I know that there used to be a different door here and different windows. What happened with this door?
Well, the quarry's right there.
Uh-huh.
So whether it blasted,
The quarry where a lot of this was done
yeah,
from.
you can see a lot of the headstones are broken, knocked over. Well, they're blasting for the quarry, so it really affected this stone door, and it just was jammed shut. And for years, my grandpa couldn't figure out how to get in there. My dad came up with like 5 of his drunk friends, and they all just knocked the door down. And since he worked for Curryon Industries, they make jail doors. They made this.
Now, didn't the cemetery ask you to kind of sort of not allow him to be viewed all the time?
I don't know about that. It's just always been like this ever since I know, with the windows blocked up. I heard the windows got knocked out a bunch of times. So then they put the glass block in there. But you can't really see through the glass
But it used to have a door where you could come up and see him.
I don't know about that either. I've never seen an older picture of this mausoleum. I've just always known it with this metal door.
Yeah, I think it used to have a door where you could see in, and then he has a glass in front of his coffin.
Yes.
Now,
Full length.
yeah, full length. Can we see him?
Sure. Help yourself.
I have another question for you. And here he is. And today is his birthday. 163 years old and counting.
Yep, and there's his words of wisdom for today. If you don't have nothing to say, don't say nothing at all.
And you don't know anything about his funeral. And his coffin was just literally put right there on these two
Yes.
pegs.
Yes. It's copper and brass.
And then what is this piece right here?
That's the top. So we could just flip up the top and the glass is down. And the hinges are just worn off. I gotta figure out a way to put new hinges on it. Him and I are exactly the same height. I measured him one day. Because he didn't have shoes for forever. We have no idea where he's got new shoes on. He's 5'8", I'm 5'8". He has no top lip. I have no top lip either. My sister doesn't. Oh, most of the women in our family hate it.
Is this the suit he was buried in?
Yes. Yes.
And was this always with him as well? This
His cross?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, you guys paid to have him restored, apparently.
Yeah, so you can see here on his face where he's cracking here a little bit.
Yes.
In a few spots. It's really kind of spooky that it's like this, but think about where we're at, right? St. Louis. It's cold in the winter, hot in the summer. Expansion, contraction, it just naturally he just started cracking up a little bit. I do wear his bow tie every once in a while, though.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Now, somebody said that there's some like creepy paranormal kind of things that happen here.
Okay, hang on. Watch this. Ready?
Yep.
You think a leaf could come under that door?
No.
I open this door up sometimes when I've been here for a while. When I open it up, full leaves swirl in here. I'm like, kind of makes the hair stand in the back of your head. Like, did he get up and leave and come back and the leaves blew in here? How did they get in here? There's only 3 keys. The cemetery has a key. They never come in here. I have a key. My dad has a key. And I'm like, Dad, I haven't been up there because I haven't either. Where'd these leaves come from?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's his real mustache.
Yes, it is. And his real hair.
And his real hair. And it just looks like he's got just caked on makeup.
Oh, yeah, because he's so bad. And somebody comical painted his fingernails like a pinkish color.
Wow.
Because they were really discolored.
So he's been removed from this crypt in the past.
2001 was the last time he was removed.
Now, is there plans to remove him again?
No, not unless he really cracks up. And then it's in his will that whatever cemetery, it's like gets paid. Like if Southern and around, whoever takes over their stuff. How's it going? Hey, Mark. He goes to them, and then they catch him.
What does it cost to like mummify and repair?
I don't know.
You don't know? You just get the bill?
That was 100 years ago. I don't know.
No, I mean like in 2002 when you had to pay for it.
Well, when they do that, they get a hold of the bank and it goes right to the bank. Sure. Right? So they make the transaction.
And this is the original the casket he's buried
all
in?
copper and brass.
Wow.
It's heavy.
Hi, good, how are you?
Good.
That's totally crazy.
Yeah.
And you can see all the patina on the copper.
Yeah.
So you know it's real copper.
Yeah.
Because you see the patina.
Yeah, after 100 years.
Yeah, that's totally real, totally copper, and totally creepy.
Yeah.
This casket would be worth a lot of money.
He's hard as a rock.
He's hard as a rock. Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's.
Even his chest, yep.
Yeah, he is. Now, do you have pictures of him in real life?
My dad does.
And so you know what he looks like.
Yeah. How are you?
Wow. Now, are you aware in this? Let me ask you a question though. Do you come and visit him often? I mean, do you find this to be in any way bizarre, weird,
It is bizarre.
morbid?
I know it is. My dad thinks it's normal. He thinks that everybody has an uncle like this. I'm like, nobody has an uncle like this. But it's just, I'm so used to it. I grew up with it. So it's like just second nature.
So when can people come see him if they wanted to come see
His
him?
birthday, May 8th.
May 8th.
Next year, on December 27th, I'll be here because that's his 100-year death anniversary.
Okay.
And in every Catholic holiday. But
So where was this located?
that was on the wall, but it got knocked off and broken. I just haven't.
So you're saying it was there?
Yeah, so it was like right above him.
Okay. And so it fell off, and then this is his name, born in St. Louis, May 8th, 1860. We're talking Wild West days.
Yeah, pre-Civil War.
And he lived, so he lived through the Civil War and World War I.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Did he ever
And a World's Fair.
And a World's Fair, yeah, 1904 World's Fair. And this is where his mom and his dad are buried.
Correct.
Wow.
It says from France on the front.
From France?
Yeah, born in France.
So, okay, so they're immigrants.
Alexander.
So they're immigrants, if you can see that. You could freeze on that if you want. But there you have it. A real life mummy.
He liked to call himself modern day King Tut.
Now, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever roamed this cemetery at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, are you aware that in this cemetery, one of the most famous musicians ever to live is buried in this cemetery.
I didn't know that till you told me, but I heard stories that he's down there.
Yeah, he's down
That's
there.
where I heard, somewhere down there.
Yeah, and he is here by weird circumstances as well, because he is not from St. Louis, you know, and his name is Louie Jordan, and he's buried right down there. He is not from St. Louis, but you would think he was, because he was a rhythm and blues, jazz, kind of, you know, the big band kind of performer back from the 40s and the 50s. And he is not from St. Louis, even though St. Louis is known for rhythm and blues. We have the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame, the Jazz Hall of Fame. You would think he was from St. Louis, but he's not. It was his 5th wife. When he died, he was in Los Angeles, and he died, and she is from St. Louis. So she moved him here and buried him next to her mother and father. And that's how he ended up here. And he's one of the most, he's top 5 biggest selling African-American artists of all time. You would think of Michael Jackson and Prince, and he's on the list.
You'd think of it in a better cemetery than this one.
Yeah, you would think. This is just where he ended up.
Wow, next to a quarry.
And he did you know, duets with people like Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Bing Crosby. I mean, he did movies, and he's buried right over there, right next to this crypt. We're gonna actually walk down there and go see his crypt. And you know, when you go to find a grave, you can click on, you know, maybe your relative's buried in a cemetery, click on famous people to see if there is anybody famous buried there. And when I decided I would come visit Joseph over there, I happened to do that and found out about this man right here. Jordan, Louie Jordan, born in 1908 and died in 1975. And as I said, he died in Los Angeles. His wife was Weaver. And this is her mom and dad. She moved out of the state, nobody knows where, and died and was buried somewhere else. But she obviously intended to be buried right here with Louie. Right there with Louie. See the space right underneath his name. Right next to her parents. And unfortunately, she, you know, whenever she passed away in another state, didn't tell them to bring her back here and where to bury her. And by the way, they didn't have the kinds of things that they have today with electronic emails and, you know, connecting all your relatives. Just to let somebody know that somebody died, you'd have to call 15,000 people. Today you can just post it on, you know, the internet, and there you have it. But Louie Jordan is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He had a song called Good Times Roll, which, you know, we don't forget, the Cars, a few years after Louie died here, came out with a song called Let the Good Times Roll. Another famous St. Louisan, Chuck Berry, was accused of stealing some riffs of his for his song Johnny Be Good. He changed the words Black Life to Teen Life and supposedly had taken a few riffs. He was like the father of R&B and the jazz, you know, the 40s and the 50s. He had 150, you know, top hits, 18 number 1 hits, and he even had a number 1, you know, like song that was considered, you know, all the charts. Back then they had a chart called the race chart, and I'm assuming that it was something with segregation. I don't know enough about it to honestly say, but he had one hit that crossed over to both charts, that hit number 1. He's in the Jazz and R&B Hall of Fame. And you know the craziest thing about this guy, I think it was his 4th wife, or 5th, 3rd wife or something, her name was Fleece Moore. A lot of his songs were put into her name because he realized later in life that he was being fleeced on royalties. So what he did was he had his wife, he put all of his songs that he wrote into her name so he could make a new deal. And then when they divorced, she kept all the money. So it didn't really work out in his favor. He died in Los Angeles and was brought here and buried. He's in the Blues Hall of Fame. He also was given a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Grammys. He was also in films. He did duets with Bing Crosby, Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, you know, obviously the famous trumpet player, I believe. And there you have it. Right here in the same cemetery as the mummy. Who would have thought that this guy would be buried here And this is an area of St. Louis called Lee May, and he's buried right here. And he's very famous. 5th all-time African-American artist selling. Like if I said Prince, if I said The Weeknd, or if I said Michael Jackson, you know exactly who he is. But this guy is in that category for all-time record sales. Believe it this or not, it's insane. And he's buried right here next to 2 people he didn't even know. It's kind of strange, wouldn't you say? I would think so. But that's why we're here. We thought we would pay our respects. And you know, when I found out he was buried, I watched some of his videos and heard some of his songs, his big band, and it kind of all phased out because of the invention of rock and roll. It kind of swept out the music from the 40s and the 50s of the big band, trumpets, and all those kinds of, you know, the swing dancing type thing. And it got pushed down for rock and roll. And we think, you know, that's when the Elvises and the Jerry Lee Lewises and those kind of, the Little Richards all came into play. And that's what kind of pushed him to obscurity. And his type of music really hasn't carried over. People still like jazz and R&B today, but not like they like other forms. I mean, heck, in the 70s it would have been rock and roll 100%, and in 2020s, you know, I would say rap is probably number 1. So music taste just changed by the generation. I was mainly from the 80s, a lot of electronic music, but there you have it, a musical icon who laid the pavement. And several artists have called him their inspiration, like James Brown, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and Ray Charles have all cited him as their main inspiration. Unbelievable. And when you look him up on Wikipedia, I mean, I'm telling you, it's like it'll take you 4 hours to read everything about this guy. That's saying a lot. So if you're ever in St. Louis and you want to visit his grave, there it is. And it's right next to probably the craziest grave in all of America. Joseph over there, who turned himself into a mummy. And there's his grave, and there's Louie's grave, right on the other side of them trees. Until next time, folks. I don't really do graveyard videos, but I am into creepy stuff. And there's a lot of really creepy graves and old crypts that have been here predating the Civil War, all right here. So come on down, check it out, and till next time, stay scary, like and subscribe to the channel. We are going to visit some really cool haunted houses here in the coming weeks. So until then, from a graveyard, the first time I've ever been in a graveyard to film a video. It's not the first time I've ever been to a graveyard, because I like visiting graveyards. I've been to Marilyn Monroe. I've been to a lot of famous graves. I did try to sneak into Michael Jackson's grave, was not successful. I am going to try again when I'm in Los Angeles. I will be trying to get into Michael Jackson's graveyard. I am actually good at sneaking into things, so I'm definitely going to try, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, till next time, from right here in a graveyard in St. Louis, Missouri.
For scary videos and more, subscribe to our YouTube page, huntworld.com.